So one thing about property management, you can't do it on a whim. You need a format. You know how people say like it's your calling? I do feel like property management is my calling because with property management, I almost feel like it's like a psychological thing. You've got an owner, you've got a tenant, you've got a situation, you got to be a mediator. So I'm going to handle everything that needs to be done. But when I bring you the solutions, you got to be a team player and help me out.
I think there's this air, this perspective that people think they're going to buy a piece of real estate, put a tenant in it, and then go to Jamaica and drink.
To be invested. To be a landlord, you have got to be invested. Check in for what you're doing as a property manager, what you're doing. I'm running my business the best that I know how.
All right, so I am Kris Haskins, and I'm going to be your co-pilot for tonight. I've got my beautiful pilot with me tonight, Lakesha Kirkindall. How you doing?
I am well.
Good to see you. So I'm going to make it as painless as possible for you tonight. Is that okay?
I hope so.
So most of my friends are real estate guys, but they're not necessarily content creators, right? So they do me a favor by coming on and sharing this stuff. They're super busy doing real estate and managing rental properties and dealing with people all day. So if you don't mind, give us a warm round of applause for Lakesha Kirkindall, please. Thank you so much. So I like to start off just by doing some high-level content. Make sure my phone is on. Everybody got their phones on mute here. Some high-level content as I was driving over here. I think a lot of us get stuck, including myself, thinking about our next deal. I need to get a deal. I'm sure you deal with people like that all the time, Lakesha. And I wanted to just talk about just the work as opposed to getting the deal. So right now, my mind is focused on the work. Like I know if I look at X amount of houses, if I go to X amount of appointments, if I make X amount of offers, then I know I'm going to get a deal. Right? I mean, it's just how it works. So just talk about the work before we talk about all the property management stuff.
For me, the work entails, when I talk about work, is structure. When I wake up, I always add something else to my structure list.
Okay.
Because for me, none of it happens successfully unless it's organized.
Got it.
So one thing about property management, you can't do it on a whim. You need a format, and you need to stick to that. And when you see you need to alter it, it needs to be in writing for everyone so that you don't get yourself into any sticky jams.
Yeah.
But it's also a learning tool because no matter how long you do this business, if you don't learn something new from like every incident, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, if you run into something sticky, you missed a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
And then you now take that learning opportunity, you document it, and you find a better way to improve.
Got it. So give us a little bit of background, Lakesha, on you. What brings us here? Because I've been seeing you since the beginning, probably, since early 2000s. And
Yeah, like 05, 06, I guess. So I was doing real estate. I was a real estate agent, and I was a real estate agent at an office in Hampton. And one thing about me is I'm pretty like a go-getter. Like if it's something to get I'm going to get it. And at that time, you know, we have like what we call the lower end part of the, you know, city, and they had houses that were like dirt cheap. You know, they were $20,000 back then. But a real estate agent didn't want to go and sell a $20,000 house because the commission is nothing. For me, it was a little bit different because I said, well, nobody's buying a $20,000 house, like you're going to do something with that house. You are either going to fix that up and flip it, or you're going to buy one, and since it was only 20, you're going to buy some more. So for me, I always said, this isn't a $20,000 house. This was an introduction to meet somebody to make some more money with them. So because of that, whenever they would call, I was there. You know, I'm turning off the dinner. I'm going to get this quick. We can write this contract. What that taught me was definitely how to grow the business. So I wasn't even a property manager at that time, But if my client said, Dad, we just got this great deal for $20,000, man, I'd buy 3 more for you if only I had a tenant. Don't worry, I got a tenant. I'm gonna get you a tenant. We'll pick which another one you wanted. And that's how it grew, because after I did it maybe 5 or 6 times, and I was finding the tenants and I was screening them, and I was like, wait a second, that's a business. Like, that's what people get paid to do. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just add that to the portfolio as to what I do.
So you're an agent at that time?
I'm an agent. I'm just an agent. And then I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna add into it. And then that grew into me doing my own property management company, because I was with another company, and it was interesting. The company that I was with, they were like real heavy hitters, and they were just giving out the business. I didn't have time for their business because property management was really moving like that. And so then I said, well, if I'm doing all my own business, why am I still here? And it was a comfort zone. You know how it is. You want to be with the safe and the comfort zone. But when I went back and I said for the last 8 months, I didn't do any of their business, it didn't make sense. And so I jumped out there and I did my own thing. I haven't looked back like in regret at all. You know how people say like it's your calling? I do feel like property management is my calling, because with property management, I almost feel like it's like a psychological thing. You've got an owner, you've got a tenant, you've got a situation, you got to be a mediator, you got to be a divorce counselor, you got to be parent, guardian. Like,
oh Lord,
I've had moms call me like, my daughter's in here trying to fight her boyfriend. I'm like, well, what did you want me to do? You come talk to her. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to say to this. All right, I know I don't want her to tear up my house. All right, I'm going to come talk to her. I'm like, come outside and talk to me for a little bit. Why are you so mad today? Don't do that. And we have a good situation. So it's a relationship building thing. And I happen to be pretty good at seeing both sides. You know, so it helps when you have, like, let's say something break. Was it wear and tear? Did the tenant damage it? All right, let's look at the history of this person. Do they go around breaking up your house? No. So why, you know, this particular incident, if we can say it's wear and tear, let's do that and keep this relationship going. So
it seemed like you weren't looking for property management.
I wasn't.
It chose you.
I was just looking for the business. I was looking for the business, and it just came and fell in my lap, and now it is my be all. It really is like the level in which, you know, I do it. I have some apartment buildings. I mostly do I mostly do the residential single family, but you know, sometimes that portfolio comes with apartment buildings and everything like that. So that's another thing, you know, you get to learn there's definitely a difference. It's a lot more hands-on and touching when you're dealing with the apartments. So
got it. Lakesha, I love talking to you because I coach and train people around the country, and I think there's this this perspective that people think they're going to buy a piece of real estate, put a tenant in it, and then go to Jamaica and drink drinks for the rest of the year. Help us break that visual.
No.
I can't. I'm like, can you please stop thinking you're gonna just ride off into the sunset and get
you have got to be invested. To be a landlord, you have got to be invested. You need to understand, how are you going to fund your repairs on this property? So we always have to think there's going to be wear and tear. Every time one tenant leaves, you will have to do something, whether it's paint, whether it's carpet, whether, you know, it's the fingerprints on the wall. And then some landlords say, well, no, you know, that was freshly painted 5 years ago. They better have it freshly painted now. Well, you take somebody's security deposit for some paint that you did 5 years ago, they will be in court with you to get their money back.
Okay.
Whenever you're going to hold somebody's security deposit, I tell my office this, you better know you're going to stand in front of a judge and justify why you did what you did. Because your fingerprints on a door frame is wear and tear, but the Charlie Brown picture in crayons that your kid did is not.
Got it.
Those beautiful light strips, I don't see any around. Oh, here they go over here. Those, you know, everybody loves those in their room.
My daughters have, they got them all.
Everybody loves those. I'm not even sure how much they cost. I think they're really inexpensive. They're really cute, right? You better know that's about $350 and better, because you're gonna have to paint that wall. That is not going to come off.
Oh, what?
It's gonna pull the paint off. We're not going back up there just.
My daughter's here right now. What?
So if it's a property manager, go ahead.
The walls are painted. Didn't you say they were sprayed?
No, yeah, but that when you pull that off, it takes the paint off with.
Oh my gosh.
It was so warm.
So my daughter's here. You
You better talk to your landlord.
Yeah.
You better talk to your landlord. So those are the kind of things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those lights, man. Every time I go in there for an inspection, I'm like, this is so cute, and this is gonna cost you. But
Everybody wants these stupid lights.
because they give a nice like romantic to some of the rooms. The kids have the ones with the pink, so it's really nice. It's just that, do you know how much that's gonna cost you? So that's
Y'all
the
got
important
lessons for
part.
tonight, right? Y'all, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so those are the things like you've got to be aware, and as a landlord, you've got to know like what's wear and tear, what's damage, from the tenant. So your carpet that you put in there 5 years ago, when you walk on carpet, it's a wear down. So even if you clean it, it's still a wear down. So you saying, oh, I want brand new carpet after 5 years, again, are you going to stand in front of that judge and be willing?
So Lakesha, she agreed. I asked her to give us, I call it a property manager's toolkit, right? So we're going to give you a link at the end of this where you can download all of her stuff, and we're going to go over that here shortly. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us tonight. All right.
Definitely.
Thank you for giving us all that stuff. You worked on all that, and we're going to give that away. There'll be a link in the video description for that. So Lakesha, so the people that buy real estate, I'm sure you see it too. They want just to be hands off. What can you just...
So when you have a property manager, you have to have an understanding. So everyone who works with me, we're a team, and I explain that to them going in. If we're not a team, it's not going to work, okay? We have to be looking for a solution together. So I'm going to handle everything that needs to be done, but when I bring you the solutions, you got to be a team player and help me out.
Got it.
So with being a landlord, one of the things we're going to talk about is you have to have reserves for these properties.
All right.
You have to understand if this heat breaks, what do we do? So I had a landlord one time who wanted to provide the tenants with space heaters in every room until the summertime. I thought, are you kidding me? That is dangerous, number one.
Yeah, it is.
You're running the risk of having your house burnt down because you're going to overload the electric with that. But the problem was, obviously, she didn't have the funds to make that repair. That was one problem. The big problem was she wasn't willing to be a team player, because I'm not going to let my tenant be cold. I'm not going to let your property sit empty. We're going to figure a solution out, whether it's I get on the phone and call one of my vendors and say, listen, I need this new HVAC. I need 90 days to pay you though, okay? We're gonna work something out. You got something you can put on a credit card. I've got something I can contribute from rent. We can get to a solution. Wow. But you telling me you giving somebody space heaters until the summertime? We don't even have a relationship. I want out, and I will exit. Because what I will exit, my contract says that I may exit at any time that there is something that is against my lease policies.
Oh, wow.
So we're putting the tenant at jeopardy. We're putting their property at jeopardy. I want out. I can give you a solution, like I said, but that's part of being a landlord. You have to have reserves. It's important because something will break. It's just a matter of what. Now, with the property management company, hopefully everyone is vetting their property managers. Do they only have a Class A contractor? Because like Class A people changing doorknobs, right. That's not what we're looking for. You should have different levels of different maintenance people to help your owners. So then that way you don't have a Class A person doing a doorknob change because financially it's not going to make sense.
Got it.
So that's where, again, relying on your property management to know what they're doing and being their partner. Now you may say, I've got Mr. John that will take care of all my stuff for me. Okay, is Mr. John a certified electrician? Because if we send Mr. John in there and he wires up something incorrectly, you got a liability here. So yeah, Mr. John can go in there and tighten up the doorknobs. He can fix the kitchen drawer. You need some carpet that's tacked down. Absolutely, Mr. John can do. But those things that are safety issues, you do want to have that licensed, certified person for those things.
Well, Lakesha, I have just dealt with dozens of people that these property management companies. I'm just going to be this. I want to make sure we go back and forth. honestly.
Okay.
Right? I have taken on people that I coach. Property management has ripped them to shreds regarding taking the money from rent, saying the tenant moved in, and keeping deposits. What is up with this culture?
So what I realize, I'm the type of person where I'm on my business. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not checking for what you're doing as a property manager, what you're doing. I'm running my business the best that I know how. But there are instances where I get clients coming from my local property management, and it's kind of sad because I know, some of the people, and I would have never thought that they did business the way they do.
Got it.
But one lady came to me and she had, I think, 2 properties, and she said,
This is an owner.
this is an owner that came to me. She was from New York, and she was saying, I need your help because I'm not getting replies back from my property manager. I think my tenants are going to court, but I'm not sure.
What?
I said, well, let's go back a little bit. How much money did you receive for this person? She said, well, I'm not sure because I get one lump sum, but I don't know which property it's from.
Wow.
So I wanted to explain to her, first of all, if you have a property management, you should have an itemized statement every month. So if you have 3 properties with me, it says, Mrs. Owner, property A, rent was $1,000, we collected $1,000. Rent B, same thing. So you'll know for each property what you're receiving. So you'll know, hey, this, unit 3 never, pays their bill. This is the one we need to get rid of. You'll be inclined that when I say to you, I'm doing an eviction, you'll already know why, because everybody else paid except this person. So that's one thing. I don't think that people know that is the correct way to do business. And I'll be honest with you, like even when I first started, I used to do my, I'll be honest, I had a pen and a paper and an Excel sheet to do my expenses, but they were like every month, every bill, every rent. Now I wrote them down, but if you called me 6 months later, I can flip to that page.
Got it.
Now, of course, it's nice that I have a computer software system to do all of that. But if somebody is not keeping notes and accurate data on your property, there's no way they can be doing the correct job for you. It's just not possible. I won't possibly know what somebody paid in rent 3 months ago. So I can't tell you what they paid. The other thing is in terms of repairs. So whenever I do a repair, first of all, my company doesn't have in-house vendors. So we task out, the plumber, the electrician, the handyman. Everybody has their own.
The Rolodex, I'm presuming the people you recommend.
We have, of course. Yeah, they're on our books. We work with them daily. We have great relationships, let me say that. Like for instance, if I send the plumber in there and you got a big giant dog, the plumber's gonna fix where he has to, but he's also gonna pick up the phone and call me. Did you know they had this big dog in there? Or what unit is that? Oh yeah, they have a pet agreement, they're fine. So that's the kind of relationship that I have with them. If they go in your house and your house is a mess, they are gonna tell. They're gonna tell.
That's a good relationship.
They are,
to have.
yeah, they are. Because one, they know when they go into my properties, that's not the norm for me. So if they see that that's out of the ordinary, so, she don't know about this. You tell me, we're over there in a couple of days.
Got it.
So another thing is that you have to be mindful of the relationships that you have as far as those vendors and things like that. And then also, you want to have those people on staff, like for your emergencies, like if something is leaking, you want to be able to have a go-to person to get to that real quick. That's important. Again, maintenance, having, the ability. So one thing we do is we collect a reserve for repairs for people.
Is it a monthly?
No, it's when you first start. So when you start with my company, you don't pay us anything up front. So that's one good thing is, I work for my money. I don't collect any money from you until I give you a tenant.
Is this a Lakesha thing or?
That is a Lakesha, no. That's a Lakesha thing. The industry thing is they won't charge you the full amount. So let's just say it's a 10% management fee. While it's empty, they may only charge you 5%.
Got it.
I mean, and that's fair. They still have some things they got to do. I just feel like if it was me, I want to know you working hard for this.
Got it.
So I do it. And I am going to work hard to get the tenant, so I'm working for my money. So that is a Lakesha thing. What we do is when you come on and we do get that tenant for you, we take $350 out of that first month's payment.
Good.
That's your repair escrow. So we already have $350 to help you out on your account at all times. Sink leaks, we have the money to pay for it. Now, in the event the bill is larger than that, then we have a conversation with you. Hey, how do you want to take care of this? We already have $350. You want to put the other $200 in? Or do you need, if it's the maybe the 5th of the month and we got rent. Do you want me to just go ahead and take it out the rent and then you don't have to put anything? So we've got options for you. Okay, and that's the important thing, is having that relationship.
I just remember like it was yesterday that I see property managers collect the rent. Once again, I want to know your opinion. They collect the rent and then they have an expense that clearly is not $800, tagging this stuff onto my.
So you should have an invoice. Like I said, since we don't have in-house maintenance, we have a person who actually went to your property. So in our portal, their bill is attached. So if it was $800, Joe Plumbing's bill is attached. You look at the bill, call Joe. Joe, what was this for $800? Oh, well, it was the water heater, but what happened was when we got there, such and such happened, we wound up, And now you're talking to Joe. Joe is not prepped by me. I don't even know you're talking to Joe. Joe's information is on his invoice. You call Joy. Wow. And then that way, that's included. You don't have to ask us for a copy of your receipts. They're built into your portal. So every month when we send you the breakdown, we send you a copy of that. And that should be standard. If you're not getting that, you should get that.
Fishy then, if you I know none of my people got those.
When it comes to money, I really don't want you to have to ask me any questions, because I feel that, one, I happen to know people, and I know people are not comfortable sometimes approaching circumstances that could be confrontational. So someone might think, that's $800 is a ripoff. Well, I would rather you call me and let me explain it than you sit there and hold that thought in your head, because now everything I do to you is not going to be right. But if you called me and I said, hey, click the button so you can see Joe's invoice, and feel free to call Joe and ask him any questions. Now you're like, oh, well, she didn't have anything to hide. And let me see next month. Oh, next month there's another bill. This is by such and such. Let me call them. You have the information at your hand, so there's never anything hidden. And I feel like that's important, because I feel like that builds a relationship. If I gotta ask you for it, why I gotta ask you for it?
That's a good point. Wow. Is that good information, y'all, or what? Yeah. I know Christian is here to learn how to hire a good property manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these are the things that you have the right to have. You have the.
I didn't know you could even request that.
Absolutely. Like I said, it shouldn't be a request. It really should be part of how they perform. It really should be.
All right. So we're talking about screening tenants in the property manager's toolkit that we're going to offer. Let's talk about screening tenants, because I firmly believe that a vacant property is better than a bad tenant.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I hear some amens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one thing, when of course, whenever new owners come on, they're like, how soon can you get this property rented? And I tell them,
oh yeah, I'm not the one.
I tell them, listen, I'm going to tell you, I don't promise miracles. I am going to do an A+ job on marketing your property, on screening a potential tenant, but I cannot promise you I will have somebody in here in 10 days. Sometimes they try to, well, how many days? So we get a qualified tenant. But what I will tell you, and what we do is, I also let them know I'm probably going to deny 2 to 3 people before I can take a person for your property. And they say, really? Yeah. This is based off of my experience. I am going to deny 2 to 3 people.
Let's talk about the old Lakesha starting out and the one now. Tell us a little bit of the compare and contrast that, because I know for me it was just like night and day.
So it was what I started off when I said having that document, having everything I'm going to ask them, having it in writing. So I'm asking everybody the same question.
Okay, you started out like that?
No, that's the difference. I didn't start out like that. I'd be like, this person, what you do? Nope, you can't do that. Everything has to be standard.
Got it.
I'm gonna tell you another practice I have, and this is just a Lakesha thing because I'm kind of quirky like that. When people submit applications to me, I will not look at their ID.
I don't look at the ID.
I don't look at the ID.
Why?
I feel like as imperfect human beings, we become judgmental. And it could lead you to want to ask them additional questions you wouldn't ask the next person.
Based on the picture?
Based on the picture.
Yeah.
Based on the picture. You won't know it until someone maybe does a test like that to you. It's like, hey, here is ABC makes $30,000. Here is, ABC makes $30,000. And you look at their pictures and you're like, yeah, but what do they do for their money? You know what I mean? It's on the thing. You got to do a valid check. So I don't look at people's ID. That's a Keisha Quirky thing, okay? Because it makes me judgmental. I also don't let owners be a part of my approval process. Why? Because it's personal for them. So people ask me, well, what kind of person is it? Are they nice? I don't know them personally. I can tell you what they met as far as my standards and my criteria, but I don't know them personally to tell you if they're a nice person or not. I can tell you what their landlord said. I can tell you how long they've been at their job, what the likelihood of them continuing their job, because that's part of the rental employment
I
verification.
saw that.
Yeah, like, because if they on their way out the door, tell me about it. Why am I taking you? You about to be fired.
Documents that she get, the thing that says how likely is this person to be.
Yep. Because you might be on write-up number 3. They're about to be out of there. You're not a good candidate. Because think about it, we're going to compare. I got 3 people who want this house. This person has an excellent employment verification. It's part of my criteria. They get scores for all those questions. They get scoring. So part of what's the new Lakesha, the old Lakesha, is having those things documented. Asking certain questions for certain reasons. For instance, one, like on a newer rental application, it'll ask you if they have a pet service, if they had a pet service animal and comfort animal, right? And you're saying, well, why? Well, because if you know people who have pets are not going to get rid of their pets, unless something happened. So if they had a pet at your house last month and they're coming to me, to my property that says no pets, where did this pet go? We need to talk about it. So that's something that was not on my original question. I would just, want to know, hey, do you have one now? Well, no, I want to know, did you have one last month too? Or at your last rental? Were there any damages by that pet? Because pets, and I'm going to use the words pets, service animals, and comfort animals interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing. So what I mean by that is if you say, I don't want pets at my property, that does not apply to a service or comfort animal. They are not a pet under the regulations, okay? Yes, some of them are cane corsos, okay?
You told me about
Like the cane corso, okay.
That's a huge dog for anybody.
Cane corso is my size. Yes, the cane corso, probably an amazing animal. I've actually looked at them, but I'm like, they too big for me. Like they would stumble all over me.
Service animal?
Yeah, it was a service animal. But it was verified as a service animal because there are no restrictions on what it can be. So yes, pit bulls can be service animals. You'll even see them with the vest that says service animals. They're so cute. As long as they have the verification, they are considered a service.
People gotta have a pit bull as a service. I don't. It just makes no
Because
sense to
if
me.
you think about it, service and comfort are what that person needs.
No doubt.
It isn't a skill that they have. You know how like it used to be back in the day, you think of like a seeing eye dog. Your dog has to have a skill to help you. Well, people have anxiety a lot. Anxiety is something that could probably get you certified to have a comfort or a service animal.
All right. So, any tips you want to give us before we move off this screening tenant? Because that is, from my perspective, that is.
Yeah,
like
this
the
is something
key.
really important that I want to stick on this, on certifying your tenants. Okay, they have groups on Facebook, and what these groups do is they provide false pay stubs
Get the game now, y'all.
and rental verifications.
This is
Okay,
crazy. What?
I think it's like 150. So whoever she is, she gets money. Okay, let's just be clear. A couple of my people have sent it to me, and I just shake my head like
is crazy.
people are using their talents in the wrong way.
So what do they do?
But what do you do? How do you combat
they make
that?
pay stubs,
They make pay stubs. They do verifications.
like a landlord verification. Oh wow. So hold on. You're telling me if I got the landlord verification and somebody would send it as if they were the landlord?
Yeah.
Wow. How do you beat that?
So landlords, what do y'all do? Okay.
The game, y'all.
So Kris owns 123 Main Street. Kris is getting rid of this tenant. Tenant comes to me, puts on their address 123 Main Street. Landlord name says Lucy Wallace. Okay. Lucy Wallace gave me her phone number, email, and everything. Well, I'm not calling Lucy until I find out if Lucy owns this house or not. Well, how do you find that out? It's on the record. City.
Tax records.
Tax records.
Got it.
Okay.
Sound like you doing some private eye type
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that's
yo.
me in my other lifetime. That's me all day. If you know anything about me, that's really my life callings, to be a private detective. And I tell people that. My verification, one of my, you have to send somebody a denial letter if they don't meet I've added, which is new. It used to say like unable to verify landlord. Now it says you're denied for providing false information regarding your land. Yeah, I want you to know that I know what you did. I'm a little petty every now and then. But I need you to know, funny thing about it is, I've never sent that letter out and got anybody to fight me back on it. Like, what do you mean that's false? You know I know what you did. They don't even come back. I really wish somebody would one time have a little time for that day and come back so we can have a little fun, but they don't. Because they know what they did. Then the next thing is this. Okay, let's say they got smart and maybe they're going to watch this. There's a couple of questions you can ask them. So for instance, you got a private landlord. Okay, I'm going to do some additional information. How do you pay your private landlord? Do you give them cash or a money order? Those are my two options that I gave you.
Cash or money order.
Right? You're not going to just tell me check. Not unless you really do pay these people by check. Are you going to tell me check when I can ask you to give me that canceled check? You're going to tell me you paid cash, but when I call them and they don't know that I'm calling to ask them that, what they going to tell me? Oh, she paid me in money orders. I can tell you how every one of my tenants pay me because there's no way I'm going to mix it up. I know what you give me and how you give it to me.
What's your favorite way to collect rent?
Well, I don't collect anything but certified funds.
Certified, yeah, me too.
We have a portal in which they can use and they can pay on their portal, which they can use a debit card on their portal. We also have payment slips. They can take it to 7-Eleven, CVS, Walmart, and they can take cash.
Got it.
And then that way, when they are out of state, they went to Vegas,
I can't get to
7-Eleven in Vegas,
Wow.
get my money.
That's good stuff. Y'all get your questions ready. Man. I got Lakesha for a few more minutes, but please, she's here for questions too. So Section 8, my favorite. I wanted to ask you too. I got you here. You're my guest. I do a home visit, Lakesha, before people move into my property. And a lot of times on the app, it says they don't smoke. And I do the home visit because I want to go in there and smell the property. I don't smoke, and I'm like, I don't want smokers in.
Right.
Tell me, am I crossing the line with that? Or is
No, if your lease says non-smoking, I have actually been to court. I have kept somebody's security deposit, and the house was immaculate. They cleaned everything when they left, and I took money for painting. And again, painting is expensive, so it really was like their whole deposit. And it was for them smoking in the property, and they both came. They were ready for battle with me.
You itemized it. They know why they were there in court.
Absolutely, they know why. Well, yeah, I was.
You kept the home.
I kept the security deposit, so we were going to court for the security deposit.
And they knew that
it was for smoking. That is correct. Wow. So what happened was, one thing people don't realize is smoking changes the color of walls. So when your walls are like cream and ivory, where the smoke is getting in, it's not going to be. So one, if you've got a TV or a picture hanging,
got it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Because you got the color of the real paint, and then you got your smoky walls where you smoked up everything. Smoke, what people don't realize, because our lease says, my lease is very specific. It's not just cigarette smoke, it's any smoke. But that also applies to candles. You know the cheap candles with the wicks that they blow out like this black soot almost.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I used to hear people talk about a clean burning candle, and I didn't really understand the importance of it until I went in a house and I was a little nervous because I thought they had a fire. And the painter said, oh no, that's for candles. The candles let off a black smoke, soot almost. Unfortunately, it's got to be painted.
That's not wear and tear then?
No, that's you damaging my property with your candles. You should have got the
black.
Yeah.
Smoke. I know that, y'all. So I'm getting a good one here.
You put the incense next to the wall and it burn a little thing.
Wall.
You gotta paint that wall. Nobody's coming in to do one thing of paint. I mean, if you as the tenant want to do it, it's in your best interest to do it, because when we get the painter, they're gonna do their whole job.
Yeah.
Correct.
Smokers, man. Anything you want to talk about smoke? Anything else you want to leave with?
No, don't smoke. Go outside.
Will tenants go outside? Have you found that they
Yeah,
will?
absolutely. Sometimes we go and they have like a little tin can on their front porch full of cigarette butts. They definitely do.
So you make that clear before they move in?
It's in a lease.
I mean, everything can be in writing, though. I mean, that doesn't.
Oh, it's just got to be in writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the expert.
Yeah, we're renting to adults.
If
We've
they
got
break that, what if they
binding.
break that one then? If they break,
If they smoke,
then yeah. Do you
then they've got to pay. So the thing about smoke is what you're taking their money for is not
could
like a
destroy the
penalty.
property.
Right, but you have to understand what you're taking their money for. It's not like a penalty. Oh, you did what I told you not to do. No, that's not it. You're taking their money to bring the property back to the condition so that it can be re-rented.
Got it.
What does that incur? You can paint over the walls. Does it still stink and smell like smoke in here? It probably will. There are ozone treatments that you can do, which like it bleaches like everything in there. And that's really helpful to get the smell out.
Ozone treatments.
Definitely. There are machines that can be rented. Sometimes carpet cleaning companies have them, but they are great. You put them on and like you need your house to air out a day after you use them because that smell is real. It's like a bleach, a strong bleach smell. Your carpets probably have to be cleaned. Your air vents probably have to be cleaned. So this is what you're billing for. It's not like a penalty. It's so that I can get my property ready for the next person who doesn't smoke.
Got it. Smokers, no disrespect to smokers, but I have seen, Lakesha, when I go on the property, I'll move the picture.
Yeah,
wall.
and the wall's a different color.
I'm like, dude, is this a different, I mean, it's
It is.
like a different paint color.
It is
Yeah.
because of smoke.
So we colored that. What about Section 8? I have the majority of my
Pros and
residents in
cons.
Section 8.
So pros and cons, there's some good and some bad and everything. What's some of the pros? You're guaranteed to get some rent money every month for the amount that they agreed to pay. When the tenant first moves in, when will you get your money? Please know it's going to be about 45 to 60 days, okay? So if you need that money the day they sign that lease, that's not going to happen. And there's nothing that we as a property manager could do. You know, you got to make sure you send in all your documents immediately. They sign it, you send it in immediately. You confirm that Section 8 received it. There's an addendum that Section 8 usually sends back for you to initial and sign right before a payment. Make sure you get it back the same hour they sent it to you. Those are just ways to help you get your money faster. So one thing is that, you know, that's definitely a pro that you're guaranteed to get this money. If by chance the tenant loses their job, then they're going to cover the whole rent because they already know how much the full rent is because they see your lease. So that's a great thing. You know, well, tenant lose their job, they're going to pay everything. So that's definitely a good thing. Some of the cons, again, waiting for your money. If something with their paperwork gets wacky and they miss a payment, you got to wait until the following month for them to catch up on the payment.
Yeah.
When you first move into the property, they come through and do their property inspection.
The housing
Ooh-wee.
development.
Oh yeah. They come in with their little 100-page checklist. They like toilet was running, they got stopwatch, toilet was running for you'd be like, Lord have mercy. The bedroom door, you know how you close the closet door and it doesn't latch? That's gonna fail. You gotta have like sink stoppers. That's an issue. Units have to be clean too, you know, swept, mop, stoves and stuff like that. They want all that stuff clean. Window screens can't have holes in them larger than the size of a quarter.
Got it.
You can do a patch, but if
I've
it's
seen
anything
those
bigger
patches.
than that, you gotta do another window screen. All windows must have window screens. All windows must open, lock, and latch. If they're a self pull-out, they gotta be able to pull out without falling on people. They check outlets. So the big thing with Section 8 is if you have an older home, they put a tester on there, and if it's a 3-prong, then your outlet needs to be grounded, okay? Most of the time, from the older house, you just take that 2-prong outlet off and you put a 3.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's not correct because it's not
Open
grounded.
ground, yeah.
Correct. That is a violation. Not having like a drip pan under your water heater. These are the things that you won't pass for. Outside, grass got to be cut, leaves got to be picked up. If you have fence, no pickets can be broken. You can't have any, like if people have had pets and they dug holes, you can't have like a hole. They consider that like a trip hazard.
Yeah.
If you got steps that are like 3 steps, you have to have handrails.
Got it.
And not just the wide rail, it has to be like the circle where somebody can actually grab it. Because the wide ones, if you've got a small hand, you
2x4,
can't actually grip that. So those are some of the things. So Section 8 will like go through your entire house. I mean, they're just not in a crawl space or the attic, but everything else, they're checking. So I feel like a con is they don't do that same thing when the tenant leaves. So I gave you an A+ property that's Section 8 okayed, and now you leave and you give me this craziness. Where's Section 8 at now?
That's a good point. Maybe we could talk to them about that.
Oh, we are, because I'm sending them pictures, and I'm telling them I'm taking you to court for how you left my property.
Got it. God.
Okay, because that's not okay. I'm keeping your security deposit, and now you can't have like a violation while on Section 8. So now we got a real situation going on. Another thing is people believe you can't evict people on Section 8. Section 8 agreed to pay this amount, and Section 8 said tenant pay this amount. Tenant ain't pay their amount. It's only $200. What do? I take you to court. If I take everybody else to court, everybody is fighting for Section 8 to have equal rights, which is all
they sure
fine and
are.
fair. So if I take everybody else to court for anything over 25 cents, you too go to court for anything over 25 cents. And do we win? Absolutely. Got a judgment from 2 Section 8 people last month in Newport News.
Get out of here, Lakesha.
Yeah, you put stuff in my toilet and you clog up my toilet and I give you a plumbing bill that you don't want to pay? Well, your rent goes to the oldest bill first, which was my plumbing bill, and now you don't have your rent portion. Of course you get notices. We're fair about this. We give you, and if you want to break it up, hey, I don't have this money. We completely understand. We're going to work that out.
That is
You telling me you're not paying me for my toilet? That's not how that works. And the judge will grant us possession of our property.
Get out of here. Lakesha, you'll be, I'm telling you, isn't she the truth, y'all? This young lady, when we think about Section 8, we think that the government's going to pay and they're going to pay their little portion, but we don't think about the damages that they could cause that could really jack up the bill.
And then understand too, there is a new law where you can't discriminate against their income. So you know how people be like, nope, I'm not taking Section 8. If you have four or more properties, you do not get that exemption. You cannot say you're not taking that. If you have less than 4 as a private landlord, you can still say no. You turn your property over to a property manager, you waive that.
Got it.
Okay, so we are accepting Section 8 for everything as long as they meet criteria.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want us. I mean, obviously you have to screen the tenant.
You do.
Is there any difference in the screening process for Section 8?
No, just the income. So like normally if you've got an income amount, let's say you got it 3 times the rent income.
That's for private pay.
No, this is for everybody.
Oh,
whatever you as the landlord or as the property management company, whatever you're setting as your guideline,
Got it.
you have to be able to apply that across the board.
Okay.
The difference would be though with Section 8 because they're not fully responsible for the whole rent. Let's say their rent is $1,500. They don't have to make 3 times the $1,500 because their portion isn't
Says
Section 8's paying.
$200.
Exactly. So they're going to have to make $600.
Oh, for the month. Oh, okay.
Their portion of it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to pray that they would make that much.
Yeah, and then some people say, oh, I love it when Section 8 pays the whole rent. Well, they normally pay the whole rent because somebody doesn't have like any income. But also when you pay the whole rent and somebody doesn't have any income, what happens when you have these damages? It's just something to consider.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you. Okay, so insurance. Is it a requirement for your owners? or
Yeah,
how does
my
that work with
owners
you?
has to have insurance. They've got to have, insurance to cover the unit because if anything happens, like the tenant gets hurt on the property, they've got to be insured to cover that tenant. Now, in terms of the tenant's stuff,
I want to know about.
the tenant is required to have renter's insurance. And a lot of people I see say that, oh no, you got to have insurance. So what happens is they come in, they pay their insurance and they give you a copy of it. 4 months down the road, they stop making the payment. Well, how do you know? Well, we know because we're on that policy as well as an additional interest. So when you stop paying and they send you the cancellation notice, they send it to us as well.
Okay.
We say to them, hey, we got this notice. You got 5 days to get the insurance back. We're going to add coverage onto the unit, but it doesn't protect your things. So that way, if you start like a kitchen fire, we still got some coverage for the owner, but none of your personal items are covered.
Wow.
Also, landlord policies. So be careful because I know sometimes people don't switch them over, but when you have a regular homeowner's policy, it's covering everything, content inside, outside. Well, when you have a tenant, you want a different policy. Like let's say something happens to your place and the tenant can't stay there for 3 months. If you have the correct landlord policy, you can get compensation for the rent not being paid. You won't have the coverage content for like your personal items, but those aren't your items anyway. And the policies are less expensive. So it's in your best interest to have the correct insurance policy.
That's so funny where you're talking about a fire. I just had a fire last month. I had to deal with the space heaters and the rent and all. I mean, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so when tenants moving out, Lakesha, it could be a nightmare for somebody that doesn't know how to do that. So how do you do it, and what do you recommend for landlords out there?
So we wait until they're ready to give keys. A lot of people like to tell me they are ready to move out and I can meet them, and when I get there, they're still doing things. And I'm like, we're gonna have to reschedule. I need you to be handing me the key and out the door, because what I see now could be different, when you finish in an hour.
That's up the
So
walls, yeah.
That's one thing. We're not doing a move out until you are out and you are handing me the keys. If you want to be present, that is fine. All we're doing at a move out is we're taking pictures of every single thing, ceiling, walls, floor, everything. We are running water. We want to make sure sinks are not clogged up, because sink clogs belong to the tenant.
Okay.
So we want to make sure these things are working properly. So when we send you your refunds or a deduction of it, you know exactly what we're billing you for.
Itemizing it.
We itemize it. We have photos. I had a move out in Virginia Beach 2 weeks ago, and a lady, I'm not sure if it was like a joke or not, but she sent me a receipt and said she cleaned, she had a professional cleaning company. Okay. So I said, okay. It was a little weird because she hadn't paid the rent, and then she paid it after she got my court notice. And then she came and said, here's the receipt. So I thought like she was trying to be funny. And then I was like, well, maybe she just did the right thing. When I went in there, everything was still in the cabinets. The refrigerator was disgusting. The drip pans were like no longer usable. And I said so when she emailed that receipt in, I told my office, advise that young lady to get her money back. That's what I told them to tell her, get your money back. Because I don't know what company did this, but that wasn't right.
That is crazy.
I mean, I didn't even take it. I don't know, I feel like maybe they got over on her. It wasn't right.
So you move, I learned to do this itemized thing because I had a friend go to court and he couldn't show what he had, because he deducted from the thing, but he had pictures and stuff. Yeah,
you've got to have pictures. The judge is looking for invoices, but I'm going to tell you, pictures speak 1,000 words, because if you go in there and you start handing them filthy properties, I'm gonna tell you that they be like, you know what I mean? The tenants do themselves disservice by, leaving stuff disgusting. Because then they're like, But you wanna be able to justify everything you do with a tenant in front of a judge. Yes. That's how whether you're a property manager or whether you are a landlord, understand you're gonna have to justify. Because there are professional renters out here. Let's be very clear about that.
Do you run into them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Professional renters can tell you how much time they have after the eviction. They know how long they have before they have to leave while you change. They taught me some stuff in the beginning.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, this what you do for a living around here? You just go and get evicted. But yeah, that's what they do. So yeah, you want to be able to itemize everything, and you want to be able to honestly justify it. Again, you shouldn't be taking people's money just for no reason. You really should not. If somebody gave me a property back and it was like really good and it might have had one or two, I'm probably gonna overlook that. Yeah. Because I appreciate the fact that they cleaned up, they kept it in good repair, because people just don't respect your property nowadays. So when you do get somebody good, just do right by them. Give them their money back so they can go on. Deduct if you need to deduct, but don't just, like as a penalty or because you need the money. That's another thing. Have your money, landlords. This security deposit that you took for them should not be in your regular account. It should be in a separate account so that when they come back to get it, it is still sitting there. Yes. Not you telling them you need to wait until another check of yours come in. That is not correct. So again, landlords, have your finances set up, because if you are a landlord, you are required to return these people return their security deposits or their itemized statement within 45 days.
I'm just thinking about a lot of including me when I started, Lakesha, the cash flow was.
Yeah, but that ain't your money.
I know. I'm just saying, when we move somebody out and then we're trying to. I'm thinking about myself, like I'm walking through the property, I got the security deposit. I'm looking for everything I can find to possibly hold that back, which is not obviously the best business, but I'm sure you run into that too with landlords as well.
Not mine, because mine don't have a say-so. If I collected the person's security deposit, they have no say-so. Okay. I'm returning it, because I feel like people come to me to rent because I have a reputation.
Got it.
And I don't steal people's money. And I can document everything that I'm taking from somebody.
That's cool.
So I'm not going to let an owner come in and say, I'm taking this. You know, I'm not going to do that because you now are going to be liable because if they want to sue somebody for their deposit, I don't want them trying to sue me.
Got it. Got it.
So, you know, if we end, like if I'm not managing it anymore, most companies won't. If you have a property management company and you sever ties with them at the end of your tenant, they're going to make you do that tenant's move out because they don't want to deal with it. Because I feel like that tenant gave me their money, I'm going to follow it all the way out.
Okay.
I technically probably don't have to, but I am because they gave their money to my company.
Wow.
So now for this owner who's short funds to take their money, it's not right.
Got it. Well, I got so much here to go over. Let me look at time. What about air filters? I know we didn't.
Every 30 days, they should be changed.
How do you handle that? How do you do that?
So we send them out an email. I'm going to be honest with you. We used to have a program that delivered them and charged them. The filters sit right on the front step when I come there.
They're not putting the filters in?
Nope, and they're delivered to them.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So we just send them emails now every 30 days. It's like, that's better because it's something new that comes across their phone. Hey, just a reminder to change your filter. When we do our inspections, which are usually quarterly, we're checking air filters. They always get dinged. And I like when they try to put it in day before we came and the grill is filthy. No way in the world that air filter is that clean and this grill is this filthy. You just changed that, which means you weren't keeping up with it. So we note things like that because the reason why, I think like if you understand why somebody's doing something, it helps you. If your filter is dirty, it breaks down your unit.
Yeah.
Your unit can't breathe, it's struggling. So that means you're not gonna get some heat or you're not gonna get some air. Now when I have to send somebody out there to fix that, the tenant has a bill.
Yeah.
So if I see this air filter was filthy when I came there and now your HVAC is not working, you're paying that cleaning bill. Now, if there's something wrong with the unit, that's fine. But the technicians that I use, hey, Ms. Kirkindall, this is what that filter looked like. Thanks for that picture.
You got that. Yeah, those filters, Lakesha, man, I even have in my lease, like if it's dirty and we got to come fix it, you're paying for it or we're deducting it at the end.
Yeah.
It can really get costly nowadays.
We definitely charge at the end because now you have to send somebody to clean that.
For the new
Because
tenant.
for the new tenant.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, $295 service call.
Easy. Okay. What if you do have to deal with an eviction? Let's talk about a little bit of the process in Virginia. You're the expert.
So in the packet that you're going to be sharing with them, I actually included everything you're going to need. I included the late notice. So we used to have, it was originally a 5-day late notice. It went to a 14-day late notice. That killed me. Now it's back down to the 5. Yeah, I was
Talk
like,
about
whew.
that for just a few seconds so people understand.
That 14-day late notice, it was during that pandemic and you weren't able to do the evictions in the same way. The reason I'm gonna say it like that is because I still had evictions going on. It just took me a little bit longer. Like people was like, oh, you can't evict. I'm like, yes, you can. They were saying, oh, you had to fill out for the rent relief. So they actually made it a requirement for the landlord and the owner to complete that paper.
That was sick to me.
That was crazy. Who has
We had
time
to fill out paperwork for you to
get
paid.
free money? How does that make sense? Nonetheless, my office was filling out paperwork because after filling out that paperwork within 45 days, if we didn't have an approval, judges were issuing those evictions.
Got it.
So they were sitting up there saying, well, I don't have to pay rent. Okay. I love it when people do that. If any of my tenants can tell you, we don't do back and forth. We don't even do personal conversations.
Talk about.
We don't. We do documentation and we do letters. That's why, Chris is like, do you tell them? No, I put it in writing. Because whatever I tell you is really irrelevant when we stand in front of that judge. What I can show that judge is what's important.
Sounds like we got to presume whatever we're doing that we need to be able to
In front of the judge. Everything, conversations we're having, I'm gonna play it in front of the judge. Text messages, my software systems let me download. I text this tenant, can I get in to do this repair? Tenant told me I better not enter her house. Here you go, Your Honor, it was a text message. Wow. Everything. Documentation, never personal, never arguing with anybody. We don't see eye to eye. We can disconnect this call. Let's finish any other conversations we have via writing, please. Now, everything everybody says both ways. I mean, it's not like I'm doing that to entrap them, but everything is being documented.
Yeah. So the eviction, I took you out
Okay,
the 5-day,
so
14
got the
day, now
5-day
we're
late
back to the
notice
5 day.
that is going to be part of that. There is specific language in the 5-day. The reason that I'm smiling is I think we picked up 4 clients last month that my assistant was in the courthouse and they were not able to get their evictions because their letters weren't right.
5-day?
Yeah.
Didn't have it in.
It did. No, they had the letter. They didn't have the right words in the letter. There is certain wording that you have to have in the letter that tells the tenants about their rights. There is also an addendum now goes with that letter. It's called the tenant's rights. And that's an attachment as well in this. So you have to include all of that. You also have to have the wording in there that even if the tenants pay you, that still doesn't neglect you from being able to continue your eviction. If you don't have those things in there, you can't get your eviction.
Judges are looking at the 5 days now.
Oh, absolutely.
They're looking at the
Yeah, they absolutely are. And if you don't have it, they won't. So after you send that person to 5 days,
That language
is in that one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're giving them that.
Guys, this is the language that the judge is going to look. This is not with your lease.
Correct.
This is not.
No, this is separate from your lease. You have to have this in the 5-day notice that you serve.
Got it.
And please don't go to court and file until your 5 days is up. So on your 6th day, you can go to court and file. I also included in there the unlawful detainer. That is the name of the form that you fill out to do an eviction.
Got it.
So that's included in there. Now, when you file a case, so on Hampton Newport News side, it's about a 21, 22-day wait. Whatever day you walk in that courthouse,
That ain't bad.
you have, well, Virginia Beach is like 15 days. I like
Oh,
them.
wow.
Yeah. But over here it's like 21, 22 days. But that's when your court date would come at. But let's think about this. What month is this? February. Well, let's say February, right? It's the 5th of the month, your tenant hasn't paid you rent. Now you're going to go and file. You're not going to court until March. So you didn't get money for February. You're not going to court until probably, 2nd week in March. That's the 2nd month you probably don't have money. If you get this wrong, you got to start all over again.
Oh boy.
Okay? So now once you're in court on your 22 days, you have everything correct. They're, most likely going to give you possession of your property. Great. What does that mean? That means that 10 days from that date that you're standing in court, if you win, you get to go and file what's called a writ, W-R-I-T. The writ is also included in there. The writ is the form that is given to the sheriff department for them to meet you at the property and physically execute this. Because if you go to court and you get possession of your property and you go to those people's house and you enter, you are going to jail and they are going to sue you.
I've been there. Yep, I tried that.
Now let's think if somebody has not paid you in a couple of months and you now go to their house because you got your unlawful detainer and now their 3-carat ring turns up missing because the landlord came in there.
That's me. Yeah.
And they're going to be like, listen, you're in violation. So don't be Kris, okay?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
you
have to file your writ, and that is the day you and the sheriff meet at the property. You are able to change the locks on the property. Keep in mind, those professional renters will know, even though we are changing locks today, if they still have belongings in there, they do have 24 hours to contact you to try to remove those belongings. So please don't go in there and start touching their stuff. I take pictures from the door, and we lock it up. If we did an eviction at 10 a.m., at 10:01 the next day, my men are out there for the trash. It's gone, 10:01. I have had people come back a couple of days later and try to get things, and it even got into where we had to call the police. And Hampton police one time told a gentleman he could have his TV. He told him it was his TV. He left it in there. I said, I'm not sure if you remember, we executed an eviction on this 2 days ago.
That's trespassing.
I said, so everything in there is mine. And I am watching my TV later, so I want to know if you're telling me that you're going to allow this man to take my TV. Well, ma'am, you don't really have to be like that. I said, all I want to know is if you are giving him permission to take my TV out of my unit.
Wow.
They told me, well, ma'am, we're just going to fix it. We'll settle it. We're done. We didn't need anything else from you. Okay. He's trying to watch my TV. I was not having that. No, not my TV.
All right, so the document, if you guys, the link is PropMan Tools, PROPMAN, short for property manager, propmantools.com. Lakesha has graciously given us these documents, and there's a small fee for her time for doing that. propmantools.com, and it's in the video description below if you want to download that stuff. Thank you.
You are welcome. So that's everything you'll need to get the person out. Follow everything in there and you will be fine.
What about the landlord that says, I didn't get rent on the 5th, they told me they're going to mail it in, I'll wait to send out my 5-day notice on the 10th?
No, everything is done on the date. So my office unless the 5th is on a Saturday or Sunday, and if it is, then we go to the following business day, it's done on that day.
Tell us why.
Tell you why? Because if I wait for you telling me next week, remember I told you it's 22 days before I can even get into court. So now I gave you an extra week, pushed myself back. Now I'm 3 months probably without rent. Okay? So you want to do it on the 5th. Here's the thing. I do have a heart. I know it might not sound like it, but I really do. I do. And I give people opportunities. So what I tell them is, because they yell at me and tell me I'm heartless and I'm trying to kick them out. And I love it when they say this. Are you serious? It's only been 5 days. And I say, yeah, that was what I was thinking. I gave you a whole 5 days.
You turn it around on them.
Right, because what happens is you're not going to court for 22 days.
You got 3 more
You
weeks.
still have more time to pay me. And if you pay me, then we can work something out where you can stay if this is not continuous.
Got it.
Okay? So don't let them pull at your heartstrings. I know my landlords, you guys have big hearts, but don't let them pull at that because this is a business, okay? And you are still helping them. If you file today, they still have 22 days to pay you. So if they ain't pay you in the 22 days, then what? They wasn't ever gonna pay you.
Yeah. It's not like you have to be a victim based on the 5-day notice.
You're going to use your 5-day notice
You don't
as your
have to.
starting point.
Yeah.
No, even when you get possession. So that's another thing. You can go ahead and get your possession of your property. Your possession, it used to be a year. It's no longer a year.
Remember that. They changed. What is it now?
6 months. So unfortunately, gotta help protect the tenants, but it's only
One possession.
you get possession and it's good for 6 months. You have the right at any time during that to execute your eviction. So let's say they do great. We went to court in February, I got possession. They do great March and April. Come May, now they don't pay again. Well, I don't have to start that whole process over. Yeah. I now go and take my writ, and it's a $25 fee, to the sheriff, and then they will serve, and now we're just gonna do the eviction process.
Okay. Lakesha, it has been an honor. If anybody has questions for Lakesha, would like to get on camera, please. Anything you'd like to leave for our audience tonight?
No, just landlords, I sometimes wonder about all these new laws that are coming up to protect the tenants. And again, I think I told you before, I mind my business. So I really don't know what other people are doing out there. But it has come to my attention that some of these landlords and property managers are not right. They not right.
Lakesha, yeah.
No, seriously, I can't even believe people got people with holes in their roofs. Come on now. I agree. Do the right thing, landlords, because what it's doing is we really should not be at odds with each other. It should be a team effort. Landlords, property managers, and tenants, we shouldn't be battling. We should be a team. You guys want a safe, clean place to live. We want good tenants that pay their rent and take care of our property. We can be the team together.
Got it.
I got people that I evict that keep coming back to me. And I'm like, no, we didn't get along, because I feel like once I evict you, we broke up. So I'm like, if we broke up, I feel like it's a relationship, this didn't work out between us. We're not gonna fight, we're not gonna be volatile. We're just gonna separate ourselves. Stop coming back applying. I take people off my list. I got a waiting list for people, they sign up when they want to know that I have new properties, because I send email blasts. And I'm like, why do they keep coming here? I go in there, I take their name off the list. They put it back up there. I'm like, this is crazy. You got evicted and you keep trying to come back and rent for me. But the one thing it does tell me, though, is that I am doing a good thing.
That's what I was going to say.
It will tell me, despite them saying I'm heartless, it does say, I am a good person. I am straight to the letter, but I'm a good person. I got a heart.
So before, my last question for you is people that are looking for a property manager, what should they look for? Because I have horror stories that I can just go on and on about.
The things that we talked about, you want to make sure a company they're able to provide you documents. They're able to provide you a monthly statement. This is
okay, the monthly statement. Yeah, we did say that.
The monthly statement is the minimum. Everybody should be showing you what you're getting every month, okay? Their fee is their fee. There's no hiding that. That's out there. They may have some additional fees. It's very customary and standard for property managements companies to charge for maintenance. I think it's like a 10% upcharge. So if you got a $200 plumbing bill, there's a 10% upcharge that goes to the management company for kind of handling that, processing that. I don't charge that, but that is customary. I like to tell people, like, you know, it is what it is out here. Everybody has to eat, so that's very customary. People do that. I do.
You expect that then? I didn't know landlords were, some landlords, I didn't know that was.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, people charge an upcharge. So I know people call and they ask me, do I charge it? And I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't have a reason to. I'm not trying to nickel and dime people. Again, I think I was telling you when I first started, it was just like, let's go get it. You know, we got $25,000 house, let's get 3 more. Same thing with the property management. If I keep your property going, I'm not nickel and diming you for everything. You're going to be more inclined to buy something else and give it to me. If every month I'm taking money from your property management, you're not gonna give me nothing else. You're like, this is so expensive. It's gonna turn you off. Like my people, they almost forget about their stuff. Like sometimes we call owners and I'm like, we haven't spoken to them. Are they not calling us back? And then when I finally do speak to them, they're like, oh, I knew you were gonna take care of it. That's why I didn't call you back. I'm like, well, sir, every now and then you do have to answer us. You gotta check in. We gotta know you're alive. Like, I will handle it, but I do need, you know, just to know you're still there. So make sure you're getting good representation. Make sure people can document stuff. I'm not sure why people are like taking properties and then stealing people's rent money. You know, like when you, as a property manager, you set your fee. If you want your fee to be 30% and that's what you're gonna give, like a great service for that, then set that as your fee, but don't steal these people money, because everything is traceable. You know, everything is traceable. And there should be a log of who paid you, how much security deposit. All of that should be traceable.
Got it. Okay. Well, you guys have it here. Lakesha, that's all I got. If anybody got any questions, please let's do Q&A. Give one more round of applause for Lakesha Kirkindall.
Thank you.